Hi, my friend. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Maddy.
And this week, we're here in the beautiful Vancouver Island here in Canada.
Flight Centre have asked us to take you around to the top 5 things to do here on the island.
We've both travelled for over 10 years and have come to learn that not everyone likes the same things when it comes to travel.
So after each experience, we're going to be rating it on 5 different criteria, and hopefully this will help you to make a decision if this experience would suit you or not.
Now, do note, these are our personal ratings and opinions, and you may have different preferences.
So here's a breakdown of each of the criteria. The first one will be affordability. So simply, how much does the experience cost per person?
And number 2 is transportation. We're going to be rating the range, frequency, and difficulty of getting to each of the experiences.
And the third criteria is going to be scenic beauty. So we're going to be looking at things like flora, fauna, design, and landscapes.
And number 4 is cultural and historical significance. So this is looking at how does the location and its landmarks preserve the heritage, narratives, and traditions of the region.
And number 5 is uniqueness. So looking at how unique is this experience? Can you find it anywhere else in the world? Is it an authentic experience to the local area? So let's kick it off. Our first stop is going to be exploring Victoria, which is the capital of British Columbia.
Victoria is named after Queen Victoria and still continues to have many remnants of British influence. It also features many historical buildings, such as the Parliament Building of British Columbia that overlooks the Inner Harbour, and many more in the area. Fortunately, there are free guided tours and also self-guided tours that you can take between 9 and 5 p.m. So we're going to head inside, show you some visuals, and I think we're getting a little hungry, so afterwards we might go grab a bite.
Grab some lunch.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, so we've just walked about 1 kilometre from downtown to a place called Fisherman's Wharf. It's a really iconic spot to come and check out and grab some food, especially their fish and chips.
So our choice today is Barb's Fish and Chips, which they have been serving their world famous fish and chips for over 40 years. Fair to say they've hit the spot, 40 years worth of fish and chippery shows. So something you may not know is that this isn't the first time that Maddy's been here, specifically in Victoria. So Maddy, care to share the story?
Sure. I did a student exchange about 10 years ago at the University of British Columbia, which is in Vancouver, but we tried to get away on weekends, and so of course we came to Victoria. Could getting a water taxi back, that could be a fun thing to do.
And he's thinking about a water taxi just to get back into town. It's an experience.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, might be one to throw in the mix, because it is one of the many ways that you can find your way around. Water taxis, on foot as you've seen us today. Victoria's also very cycle-friendly.
Very cycle-friendly. Yeah, one
location.
of the most cycle-friendly places in Canada.
That's it. Let's grab a water taxi after some ice cream.
Yeah.
Far out. We just got 2 scoops. This looks like half a tub of ice cream from Jack's Ice Creams. Number 1 is Moose Tracks, vanilla, chocolate, and peanut butter cups. And the second one is chocolate with peanut butter, and they're both gluten-free, so that's also good for Maddy. Let's tuck in.
Yum.
Jeez. Going down a treat, hey? Oh yeah. We were blessed with beautiful weather out on the waters and views of the Victoria Harbour while we got to enjoy the rest of our ice cream. Highly recommended. We've now made it into Old Town, which from what our captain informed us of, features a lot of buildings that are reminiscent of that British influence. So we'll duck around, have a quick gander before we wrap up and give you our ratings for Victoria.
Okay, so affordability, we gave it a 9 because we only spent just under $40.
Transportation for category number 2, we give that a 10. Now we're a bit biased because obviously we are based here in Victoria, but in terms of getting around, it was really, really easy to navigate.
Yeah.
We spent most of the day on foot.
Yes.
You can also hire a bike, as there are tons of bike lanes, and as you also saw, we could use a water taxi just to enjoy some views.
Next was scenic beauty, so we gave it a 6. Whilst not a heap of wildlife, there's definitely beautiful gardens, beautiful landscapes. However, we're really holding out for the more nature experience.
For cultural and historical significance, we're giving it an 8 out of 10. There were so many buildings that were preserving the heritage and the tradition of their British colonial roots, as well as also recognising the Indigenous culture of the nearby regions. We didn't even have enough time to get to the Royal British Columbia Museum, which we've heard very, very highly of, and I recommend you get to if you are here.
And lastly was uniqueness. So we gave Victoria a 7 out of 10 for uniqueness. It's a very cute, charming little city with the Fisherman's Wharf. It's got the beautiful architecture and colonial influence, but yet still very trendy and hip with cafes and lots to do.
We're going to be heading off to our second spot on Vancouver Island tomorrow called the Butchart Gardens. So stay tuned for that. But until then, that's a goodbye from us from Victoria. Catch ya. Hey guys, we've just made it to the Butchart Gardens.
We have. We arrived via car. Took us about 35 minutes. But you can get here by bus. Costs about $5 for a daily pass, and it will take you about 50 minutes from Victoria.
Pricing for admission can vary depending on the season that you come in. As it's summer, it cost us each $41.50.
When you come in, you'll be given a map and a little brochure about the information and different flower and plant species that you can spot within the gardens.
So this all started as an idea by Jenny Butchart in 1904. When she wanted to transform what was previously a quarry in her backyard into a beautiful garden. And 120 years of blossoming later, and here we are in this beautiful garden that attracts nearly 1 million visitors per year.
And it's now a designated historical site of Canada. You can see why. So we found the Ross Fountain at the end of the sunken garden. It's designed by Jenny Butchart's great-grandson, Ross. If you come on a Saturday night in July or August, there's a beautiful fireworks display. I love gardens because I think there's a bit of a green thumb in my family lineage. My late grandparents who are no longer with us were avid gardeners, and they loved, their plants and vegetables, and so I've just always been drawn to it. And my Nan and Pop, who are no longer here, have actually walked these grounds here at Butchart many years ago when they were visiting my mum, who lived in Canada. So it feels very special to be back here.
Why are we smiling?
Because we got a last-minute reservation at the Butchart dining room restaurant, which you typically should book in advance online. But we were lucky.
That's it.
Our afternoon tea has just come out, and I even have a gluten-free afternoon tea.
Gluten-free.
The pastry chef is apparently celiac, so this is such a treat for me.
Bon appetit.
Oh my God.
So good.
This never happened.
All right, so we're going to give the Butchart Gardens a overall rating. We're going to break down to 5 categories. So first of all, we've got affordability. We're going to rate it a 9 if you're just planning to purchase an admission ticket, and leave it at that.
But if you want the experience of also having afternoon tea, we rate it a 7. So on average, we're going to give it an 8. Transportation, we're giving the Butchart Gardens a score of 8. So whilst you can't walk here from Victoria, it is relatively accessible to get here. We drove 35 minutes. However, you can also catch a public bus or Uber or taxi, and there's plenty of parking options available. It's also really accessible for people in wheelchairs too.
So the next category we're looking at is scenic beauty. I have to give it credit where it's due. Definitely is a beautiful landscape, but flowers, florals and gardens aren't necessarily up my alley and my cup of tea when it comes to beauty. So I'm going to give it a 7.
For me, it's my thing. I'm going to give it a 9.
So I guess we'll both land on an 8. The fourth category is cultural or historical significance. Now, although the Butchart Gardens are definitely an iconic stop, we don't consider the gardens to have had a major historical or cultural influence on Canada's history, the way of life. So for that reason, we're going to give it a 4.
And the last category is uniqueness. So for me, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I find gardens this huge and diverse quite amazing, and I have a personal connection to beautiful gardens with my grandparents. So for me, it's quite unique.
For me, I'm going to be giving it a 4 out of 10. Similarly, I was actually impressed by the range and the variety of flowers that were present. However, it isn't something necessarily that floats my boat and is the most show-stopping experience. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10, putting us both at a 5. Good morning. Where have we driven to? We've been on the road from Victoria.
We have driven to a little town, seaside town called Sydney. Not Sydney, Australia.
Yep. Sidney.
Yep.
Differentiate, yep.
Vancouver Island.
Looks very different. There's no harbour bridges around here.
We're going whale watching.
Whale watching.
Whale watching.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And how's that weather looking?
It's a stunning day.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Clear. Company we're doing it with, Sydney Whale Watching, have a 95% success rate or sighting rate. So much that if you don't see a whale on your 3-hour tour, you get a free trip the following day or the next available. So once we made it to the office, they suited us up with these very thick, buoyant life jackets that kept us very, very warm out on the waters. As you can see, we had a gorgeous day, but before we got into the boat, we had a quick briefing from our captain. As had been doing it for 7 years, was passionate about his wildlife knowledge and showed us how to spot whales.
So we're looking for whales at the moment.
Yep.
We do a bit of a stop and a look.
360.
Yeah. In the channels where they often are sighted. So far, no whales.
In the background there, you can see a beautiful mountain. That's Mount Barker in Washington in the US.
Looks like no luck so far. I was digging. Just under 1 hour. So let's do this.
Yeah.
Despite the vigilance of everyone on board, unfortunately we didn't spot any whales, but we did see some other wildlife. So what have we seen?
We've seen seals, bald eagles, some sheep.
Some sheep, yeah. Different breed, but
Yep. Lots of bird life.
lots of bird life, yeah.
The beautiful islands and surrounds.
Yeah, last 3 hours in. No sightings on whales. No luck today. But
It's like it was too perfect of a day
nearly
that
too
the whales
perfect.
were like, nah, we're not going to come out for
might
you.
have jinxed ourselves there.
But we can come back and it doesn't expire, so we can come back, in 10 years' time or next week to try and see whales again.
We're going to break down according to our criteria from what our experience was today. Number 1 is affordability, which we're rating a 4. The experience comes to 156 Canadian dollars, which includes a conservation fee. But do note that that lifetime policy of coming back until you finally see a whale sighting definitely gets an honourable mention.
Next category is transportation. So we rated this experience as a 6 out of 10. It's about a 35-minute drive from Victoria. There's also public buses available. Not as many options as, being in Victoria. However, if you are coming from the airport or the Schwartz Bay Ferry Terminal, it is very close and very easy to get to.
Number 3 is scenic beauty. Now, I would have given this a clear 10 out of 10 because of the conditions, the water, and the beautiful landscapes. We even saw mountain ranges in the background from both across the Canadian and the US landscapes. But as we didn't get to see whales today, we're giving it a 9.
Okay, next is cultural or historical significance. We did score this one pretty low, so a 4 out of 10, purely because there wasn't too much to see. However, our captain did provide some education around the Indigenous First Nations people and the traditions that we pass by on some of the islands, which was really cool.
And last but not least, the uniqueness rating, we're giving it a 3 out of 10. As cool as it was to get out on the waters and to go see some of the nearby landscapes, whale watching is not unique to this part of the country or even in the world. All right, my friends, so it is time for us to head up north on the island for our 4th and 5th experiences. Bye from Sydney.
Bye.
Catch ya. Good morning, my friends. We are currently on our way to our 4th spot on Vancouver Island. We've been driving north after we've got across Victoria, Butchart Gardens, and a bit of whale watching in Sydney. So as Maddie's behind the wheel, she's going to tell us exactly where we're going and what's happening today.
We are going to do some hiking in the Pacific Rim National Park here on the West Coast. It's sort of spotted throughout, but we are picking a spot in between Ucluelet and Tofino. It's easily accessible. We've chosen to do this over surfing as it's a little bit overcast today, so we thought, why not go for a hike? We've just come down to the beach, Florentia Bay. We are going to walk down, have a little of a beach comb, and then we might head into some rainforest later.
So in terms of transportation, there's a number of options how to get here. We took a private car from Victoria, which took us about 4 hours to drive, but you can also take shuttles or a public bus service all the way from Victoria. This might set you back about 6 to 8 hours of transit, as you usually have to transfer at Nanaimo. Alternatively, you can also fly to a nearby airport just into the Tofino, Long Beach area, but depending on wherever you're at, we recommend a private car, given it is a long commute and you probably want to get here as soon as possible.
This place is pretty epic. I would say it's going to hit pretty high on the scenic beauty scorecard. As you can see, there's just an abundance of wildlife, nature, beautiful scenic scapes, and you can just take your time, enjoy marveling in the little creatures and shells and crabs and kelp, and it's just beautiful. Like, it's just stunning. It's so untouched, and it's really takes your breath away, and you get that awe that I love about natural environments. As you can see, I love this kind of stuff.
So where are we heading to now? We've had a bit of the beach.
Yeah, so now we're gonna head back and we're gonna jump in the car and drive to another spot and try and get a trail that has a bit more of the forest.
landscapes. And we're hoping that this trail will have a bit more information about the cultural heritage and the First Nations people, as we are walking on very sacred lands of the First Nations people here in Tofino. And we'd like to learn some more.
So in order to access any portions of the Pacific Rim National Park, you'll be required to have an entry pass. Now, fortunately, at the start of all of them, they have well-marked signage that lets you know what it's going to cost. So for an adult single entry pass for one day, it's going to cost you $11. But if you have a larger group, it also indicates how much it's going to cost.
The Nuncha Null Alt comprise of many individual nations have inhabited this coast for over 5,000 years. Chief Lawrence Jack welcomes you to the traditional territory of Ucluelet First Nations. Something that I find really special and really empowering is when you're walking on lands that you know have thousands and thousands of years of history embedded in them, and they kind of hold that, and it's a beautiful significance to the cultural and history that came before us. And Dan, you have a really special connection to hiking itself, don't you?
Yeah, it's been a big part of my childhood. Something that I shared a lot of time with my late father, who's no longer with us, was spending a lot of time doing father and son hikes growing up. And it was full of lots of memories, lots of disasters, but a really special time to reconnect with nature and also reconnect with my dad, something I didn't get to do much of in the busyness of life. So just like you said, Maddy, I really do feel that this is a feeling and a place to be in that brings a lot of that memory and that kind of family history in my life. So a very, very special place to be. And that's a wrap on the Pacific Rim National Park. We've just stopped for a quick bite, bit of lunch on the beach.
Yeah. A must after hiking.
Definitely, feeling a bit famished. And we'll run through our scores for our 5 criteria, kicking it off with affordability.
Yes, so we scored this one a 10 out of 10 because it only cost us $11 per person to enter the national park.
Next up, transportation. So we rated this one a 3. As we previously touched on, you're going to most likely need a car to get here, although there are other modes of transport. We do acknowledge they're inaccessible and can be quite inconvenient in order to get here.
Next was scenic beauty. Now, this one was quite a clear winner. We gave it a 9 out of 10. It's just stunning. The landscapes, the flora, the fauna, the combination of coastal and forestry. There is just so much to explore, so pretty high.
Our 4th category is cultural and historical significance. This region has a wealth of history relating to the First Nations people. And there are a lot of educational resources and landmarks that do preserve and provide you an opportunity to learn more about it. So for that reason, we've rated it a 7 out of 10.
And lastly is uniqueness. Now, whilst this, I guess, landscape is quite unique in the combination of, beach and forest for Canada, hiking itself is not a really unique experience. So we kind of landed somewhere in the middle and we gave it a 6. So tomorrow we're going to do our last experience, which is surfing in Tofino. A very popular thing to do in this area.
Yeah, very well of it. We'll
Yeah.
see you there. Morning, friends.
Hello.
Surf is up.
Yep.
We're at our 5th and final spot on our Vancouver trip. Where are we going?
We are at Long Beach in Tofino. Very popular surfing spot.
Earlier today we got to the surf shop, rented these for about $42 per person, and that included wetsuits, booties, and the boards that we've got.
Yeah, for 6 hours.
For 6 hours, which is great. We're going to get to the surf before it gets too choppy. Maddy's going to lead the way. This is her zone of mastery.
Surfing holds a special place in my heart because it is something that I grew up doing with my brother and my dad. I guess I just love being out on the water where there's no phones, no technology, no clocks. You just lose track of time, and even if you're getting frustrated because you can't get any waves, it's like a mental game and you just got to try and enjoy the process and the journey, and there's always another way.
We just wrapped up a couple hours of surfing it up. Maddy was the queen of the seas. I was eating plenty of seawater. So what's the plan?
We're going to get these big wetsuits off and we're going to head into town for some lunch. Yeah.
Give you guys the down low. We'll see you there. Ew. Oh, this is a hungry girl. You ready to eat?
I sure am.
Let's do it.
Oh my God, look at that food.
So what have you grabbed there, boo?
I've got tacos. pulled pork and fish.
Yeah.
What burger did you get?
It's a salmon burger right there. And what are these very interesting looking chips? They're not the regulars I'm used to at home.
Poutine.
Poutine?
Chips loaded with gravy and cheese.
Ah, okay. Is that a Canadian special?
I believe so, yes.
Love it. Love it. Well, it might be doing a bit of damage to the arteries, but I'd say we earned it today.
Oh, yeah.
Let's dig in.
Let's dig in.
That brings us to the end of our time in Tofino. Today, we've been able to surf some waves,
Yep.
eat some scrumptious local food,
Oh, yeah.
and later on, we'll also be enjoying a sunset at Cox Bay. So we're going to kick things off with our review. First of all is affordability. We are rating it a 7 out of 10. In total, the day came to just over $86 per adult, which included the hire of the surfboard, wetsuit, and little booties that we had on, as well as a meal. For us, that was 2 tacos, a serve of poutine, and a cheeky little bit of gelato afterwards. Most importantly, having access to a national park, and entry pass is $11.
Next up, we have accessibility. We're leaning on exactly the same reasons why we rated it a 3 out of 10 for Pacific Rim National Park. It's in the same area, same commute time, same difficulty with public transport. You really do need a private car. So 3 out of 10.
Third category is scenic beauty, which we're giving Tofino a 7. As you can probably see from all the shots and from literally what we're sitting amongst, there is such a beautiful diversity of nature and lush landscapes where you really can get from surf and sand in the morning to pines and forests just a few hours later.
Next up, we have the cultural and/or historical significance. So for Tofino, we've given it a 7. The surfing history here is really prominent, and it's actually built the town up to be what it is known to be today as a really surf world-renowned little town. It brings in a lot of economic activity, such as tourism, people coming here to surf, and then as well as the surfing history, there are strong cultural ties to this town, and so there's lots of opportunity to educate yourself about the Indigenous narratives that do lie here in the history that's come before us.
And our fifth and final category for Tofino is uniqueness. We've given this one a 7. Reason being is this town really packs a lot. It's got a lot of charming quirkiness, a beautiful and thriving arts, culinary, music scene, as well as obviously surfing. And even though us Aussies have done a bit of surfing in our time, it's actually the first time we've ever had to layer up with booties or with a hood just to stay warm.
Yeah.
Because this cold water surfing is not only unique, but it is really in a class of its own here in Canada and for the world.
All right, so that concludes our 5 experiences here on Vancouver Island.
Hey friends, as you can see, we're catching our ferry back to the Canadian mainland in British Columbia.
We thought this would be a great opportunity to recap on the scores for each category.
So we're going to give you the winners of every category to help you best decide which spots to go to when you're here on Vancouver Island.
Okay, so without further ado, coming in at number 1 for affordability was the Pacific Rim National Park. It was a very affordable day for us. All we had to pay for was the National Park Pass.
And coming at top for transportation was Victoria. We rated Victoria a 10. Now, of course, we were basing our location in Victoria, so maybe a little bit biased depending on where you choose to stay, but we found it was really easy to get around even within Victoria, whether you're on foot, on bike, or catching some water taxis.
Or a ferry. And for scenic beauty, we had a tie between whale watching and the Pacific Rim National Park. Now, I think, as you can see, we had a stunning day like this when we're out whale watching. If we had have seen whales, I think we would have given it a 10. But look, both experiences were fantastic.
Top for historical and cultural also went to Victoria. We found the city was just so rich with historical remnants, educational resources, and the charming facades of their colonial history.
And lastly, we had a tie again for uniqueness between Tofino and Victoria. Both very unique places on their own, for their own different reasons, and they just are very unique to Vancouver Island.
If you had to pick one, which one edges out for you?
For me, Tofino.
Yeah? Why's that?
I have a gravitation towards the beachy, surfy, cultural towns, yeah.
Beautiful. So my friends, we hope you found that video helpful. Let us know if we missed any spots or if you have any other thoughts on the 5 places we went to.
We really hope you can make it to Vancouver Island and have a wonderful time if you do. It really is a special part of this world.
So until then, I'm Daniel.
And I'm Maddie.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.